Maido. Hi there, Japan fans. Today's show, we're going to talk about arguing with our audience. Present master shimashou. This is the 5th year of the Presentation Japan Series podcast, and we are beaming around the world to you from sunny Minato-ku in Tokyo. And I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, Dale Carnegie Tokyo franchise owner, the president of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training, and 3-time best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery, which is Zaegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery. My new book, Stop Wasting Money on Training in Japanese, Trainingu de okane o muda ni suru no wa yamimashou, is now available on Amazon. Through this podcast, I want to help you become a better speaker who is clear, confident, persuasive, and highly influential with those around you. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We are not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn, who, unlike many other podcast hosts, have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here is our daily podcast lineup on iTunes. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. Tuesdays, the Presentations Japan Series. Every second Tuesday, the Business Tatsujin no Oshie Show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan Series. Thursdays, the Leadership Japan Series. Every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcast Show. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show. And Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. This is episode number 314. Today we're talking about, should we argue the point with our audience? We've been asked to speak, or we have punted a chance to speak to an audience. We'll have a message in mind for the talk, and we will begin the process of constructing the talk. Unfortunately, we are now in the era of short attention spans, fake news, massive cynicism, and intolerance. Contending philosophies and diverse experience has been tossed out the window in favour of tribal agreement and solidarity of interpretation. Cancel culture started on US varsity campuses as students began aggressively confronting professors during lectures if the students didn't agree with the content or view. As American politics has collapsed into a bi-modal equation of us versus them, bi-partisanship has been quietly taken out the back and garrotted. 100 flowers blooming in 1,000 schools contending isn't fashionable anymore, as foxholes are dug deeper and the sniping has become continuous. Where does this leave us as speakers? It's difficult enough to be a speaker today without another layer of complexity. Every time we get on our feet to speak, we are putting ourselves up as targets and are exposing our personal and professional brands. Business topics generally are pretty boring, so the degree of angst being generated isn't usually substantial. Nevertheless, there are landmine fields aplenty for us to stray into. Diversity, equity, inclusion generates attention around the configurations of the upper echelons of companies. Plastic waste entering the food chain demands changes in the amount of plastic being used and how it's disposed of. Floods alternating with droughts around the world and the disappearance of ice sheets at the poles has attention focused on what companies are doing to battle climate change. Online hacking and broadcast of personal information and internet security in general are urgent issues without solutions in sight. I could go on, but let me stop there to make the point that while most of what we say we may think is harmless, we may be overly optimistic. Captains of industry and the sub-captains of industry are being scrutinized to an extent not seen before. Audiences are sensitized to their preferred expectations and requirements about how they think the world should be and how companies should conduct themselves. Next thing, we pop up to give our talk and walk into any number of potential maelstroms. Are we skill set ready? Are we mentally prepared? When presenting in business, unlike at some universities, it is unlikely the audience will try to shout us down and deny us the opportunity to speak and be heard. Generally, hostilities and gunplay are reserved for the Q&A. Once we open up for questions, we are now in a street fight, the defining aspect of which is there are no rules. Audience members can say anything, whatever they like, however unrelated, off topic to what we were speaking about. They can be rude, arrogant, bullying, condescending, and aggressive. And there isn't anything we speakers can do about it. Find out more when we come back from the break. Our show today is brought to you by our public programs, but we also do custom-made in-house classes. Now, we do them in our super safe classroom, we do them live online, and we do them in Japanese, and we do them in English. Okay, our show today is being brought to you by our Dale Carnegie course on the 30th of November, and also again on the 7th of December. Very good program, Dale Carnegie course. It's got that nice omnibus aspect to it where it picks up a lot of key things. We talk about the 5 drivers, having confidence to come out of your comfort zone and go higher, further, faster, better. Being able to deal with stress, being able to be really good with people, great communicator. Okay, all important aspects. And of course, people skills. On the 12th of December, we're doing our Leadership Training for Managers program. Now, this is a brilliant compilation of all the things you need in your leadership toolkit. How to deal with mistakes, how to coach, how to do the performance reviews, how to do the planning, how to get the innovation, how to do the delegation. It just goes on and on. Everything you need. If you wrote it down and said, okay, what do I need in concrete terms, in practical terms, in real terms, not theory, in practical terms, what do I need to do on a daily basis as a leader? This is the list you'd come up with that makes up this course. So Leadership Training for Managers, absolutely a must-have for leaders. Check out our website at www.dale, Carnegie, CARNEGIE.co.jp. Lots and lots of value for you there. Now, to do better in Japan, email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Get my best-selling books, Japan Sales Mastery, that's the Bible for selling in Japan, and Japan Business Mastery, and my new book, Japan Presentations Mastery. If you like learning by watching videos, there are over 1,000 there for you at Tokyo, Japan, Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. We release 3 TV shows every week on YouTube. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, which is the premier business show in Japan, comes out Mondays. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show, and Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews, where I interview leaders in Japan from SMEs all the way up to the corporate captains of industry on one topic, leading in Japan. Every second Thursday, we release the Business Pro Television Show. Don't forget, you can email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Welcome back. If we are smart, we'll have set the frame of the questions by delineating the time period for the Q&A. This is a critical move because if you ever have to get out of Dodge in a hurry, you can always say, we've reached the end of our allotted time for today's talk and let me make some concluding remarks. We insert this little time-controlled time bomb at the start to enable us to have a dignified exit if we are being bombarded with nasty questions and ocean sprays of invective. We can disarm a heat-seeking missile, thinly disguised as a question, by paraphrasing what was asked. With any question time, it is a good practice to repeat the question so that those down the back can hear it. Well, that is except for the attack question, and we definitely do not want to repeat it. Instead, we paraphrase it to take the heat out of it. For example, if someone asked, "Isn't it true that you're going to fire 30% of the workforce in the next few weeks?" We can paraphrase this as, the question was about staffing. We still have to answer the question though, but we have successfully reduced some of the tension in the room and we come across as cool, calm and collected in the face of incoming hot rounds of fire. The best plan is to give our answer and smoothly and swiftly move on to the next question by saying, "Who has the next question?" Do not ask the hostile interlocutor if they are satisfied with their answer by saying, "Does that satisfy your question?" Because if it doesn't, the brawl continues. If your antagonist won't be brushed off so easily and injects during a follow-up question, denouncing you as a fraud and a charlatan for not properly answering their question the way they wanted it, well, we need to be careful what we say next. We need to remember that we cannot win in a street fight with no rules, so we are better to break off hostilities with that person and just move on. We should say, "I appreciate you have strong views on this subject, so rather than occupy everyone's time right now, let's you and I get together after the talk and continue our debate." At which point we again say, "Who has the next question?" and keep moving forward. If things don't get this fraught, but we still have a sizable gap in views on a subject with one of our audience, we need to just acknowledge that and not try to win the argument, because that is just not possible when we are dealing with zealots who are locked into their worldview on a subject. We can say, "Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this subject, and I see we're a fair way apart on this topic, so let's just agree to disagree. Who has the next question?" We cannot win in a public verbal brawl, so we are better to avoid it at all costs. The audience expects us to be professional all of the time, and many of them will view the antagonist's activities as ridiculous. We cannot bring ourselves down to that level, and so we must stay above the mud and the blood they want to embroil us in. Thank you for joining the Presentations Japan series. If you got value from today's show, spread the love around and share it with your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. Immediately apply what you have learned today, use it, and go out there and become a presentations legend. Remember, I'm your corporate coaching and training guy in your corner, committed to your success here in Nippon.